Thank you. Let me call upon Ranjan, who is CIO and handles also supply chain for a group whose name might be unfamiliar to many people, but whose brands would be quite familiar. Bestseller is a group which has, as Ranjan mentioned, about 15 brands globally. Four of those are available in India now, and they've created in the last 6 years a very strong presence. So Ranjan, would you take us through that journey and how you've managed to, or how the business has managed to establish that strong presence?
Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. So we started our business about 6 years back with the first store in Mumbai. And the first brand we launched was Jack & Jones. So in spite of we being almost about 35 years old organization globally, it was a new entry for us in India. It was a new market. The brand ethos were very different. And gradually we started bringing in more brands into India. So first we launched Jack & Jones, then we brought in Veromoda, and then Only. Currently, put together, all of them have more than 120 EBOs. And that was one of the reasons why we went into the shop-in-shop business, where we said, you just can't open an EBO. It's a huge, huge store. You just can't go and open an EBO in a city like maybe Varanasi or a Ranchi or a Patna. But to test that market, that customer needs your product. To test that market, to understand that market, it's very, very important to be there. And it was far more easier to go there with any of our partners, could it be Shopper Stop, Lifestyle, Central, any of them, who are already there. And test the market, and once you find that the market is ready for you, you launch a store. So we've gone ahead and opened stores in cities like Lucknow, Patiala. We've gone down and opened a store in Jammu. And for all the three brands, they've been doing pretty well. Because one of the important aspects for our business was fast fashion. And what we meant by fast fashion was we've got to launch new products very frequently. And the frequency is defined by we launch new options for Only every Wednesday. We launch new options for Veromoda every Tuesday. So that's the frequency that we're talking of. We change the windows almost every fortnight for every store across the country. That's the experience that we would want to give to the customer. Being a young brand, the young target audience, it was also important to be able to connect with them throughout his journey. And there are a lot of things that we keep doing. So like Veromoda, we are one of the sponsors for Sula, where you have a lot of young people coming and joining you in Sula, and they are able to relate to you. They are able to understand and where you're following them. For Jack & Jones, we are associated with Mumbai Indians. Every second Wednesday of the month, in one of the flagship stores, we have an event called All-Star Jam in the Jack & Jones store, which is nothing but bringing different kinds of musical guys, singers, different genres of singers into that store and doing an event at the end of the day, second Wednesday of the month. That's where the connect comes in. That's where the consumer sees himself. Which means that wherever he is going, you need to be there. The latest thing that we've done is this year, about a couple of months back, we've launched, because it was very, very inconvenient for most of the customers in the retail to go and exchange. That was a big, big problem. About a couple of months back, we launched a program where we said, no questions asked, we'll exchange for you, no matter whatever is the situation. So we've not been going back onto that. We're saying, if you bought something from us, even if you bought it from one of our shop-in-shop partners and he's not exchanging it, we'll exchange it for you. We've gone down to that extent. Because that's the convenience, that's the experience the customer is looking for. He is not going to stay there with you until and unless you are really going to keep him in his entire purchase journey. And it's not just about the transaction of that purchase, that particular purchase. It's going to be throughout his life. How do you connect with him on the social media? How do you associate with him on the social media? How do you know where he's going? How do we know where is he present? It's all about giving him that complete experience wherever he is. So I think we've done a fairly good job. And in spite of online business growing so fast, we've still been able to grow at around 25% like-to-like from the EBO stores, which is a phenomenal job that we've done.
So in terms of, one of the common themes that I see and I think you touched upon it probably more explicitly, is throughout, whether it is selling fashion, creating a new brand, or whether it's books or different fashion brands, you're talking about being available, visible, insinuating yourself into the life situations of the consumer, rather than just selling the product.
Absolutely, it's not just about selling the product. It's gonna be there always wherever he is, so that he's able to associate with you. He's able to relate to you.
And how much of an aspirational aspect do you think is there, particularly with your portfolio of brands, given it's a European brand portfolio, in the Indian context with young consumers? Because we started the session with an Indian business, an Indian brand, and you've got a portfolio of European brands. What's the difference in terms of strategy, in terms of operations for you?
So I'll give you an example. There's an event that we do once a year in a city, and we normally do it in 3 cities every year. Last year we had this event, which is called Super Saturday, and it is patented by us. And we happen to do this on a Saturday only. Sometimes around end of May and early June is when we do that. This was last year when we did it in Mumbai. It was the first 24-hour shopping festival that we did. So it started on Friday midnight. We ended on Saturday midnight. We had shut the Linking Road store at around 5. We had the queues building up at 4, where the store was supposed to start midnight. And that's the connect, that's the aspiration of the people, because the store is flat 60% off. We had almost about 35,000 people walking into a 15,000 square feet store across 24 hours, and there was never a time when actually the footfall fell down. We always had the queues waiting outside the store to enter the store. We always had queues inside the store for the checkout. That's the power, that's what the brand has actually been able to deliver today.
Possibly one of the most difficult things to change. I think fashion changes quicker, and we've had international fashion brands, modern retail in fashion for several years. But one of the things which changes slowly, more slowly, is eating habits. And as international brands started stepping into the Indian food space, maybe 15, 20 years ago, McDonald's launched in India about 20 years ago, it seemed to have defined the space. Other people who came in, Domino's launched also somewhere in the mid-90s, late 90s, Pizza Hut, etc. Various other QSRs came in, and casual dining brands came in. The international brands have defined the space as it has emerged. Most of them tend to be visible in a price-led strategy, which doesn't really give you much more than price to create a relationship with the consumer. So I'd be interested to know, we've got Tanmay, who's the CFO, and I'm sure he doesn't like discounting and price-led strategies. He's a CFO of Burger King. How do you see the market as one of the most recent entrants into the market, when the space is cluttered, if not crowded in the sales sense? I mean, there is enormous opportunity still in the next 20, 50 years, but the space is cluttered with a lot of brands already, and they are already defining the relationship to a certain extent that a QSR brand can have with the consumer. What's been your take on the market, and how have you created your own strategy in this?
Yeah, so needless to say that the market is huge, opportunity is huge. It's up to us to, therefore, it's too early in this country for us to start thinking that a early entrant has really completely defined habits or a perception of a food category in particular. Having said that, most importantly, I think so long as we have a very clear, differentiated value proposition for the customers, and we understand our customers' set very well, and we can repeatedly, therefore, offer them what we got, execute it, and then create a system where we can repeat that day in, day out, one can very easily create a massive business in India in this particular category. So differentiation and making sure that the right value proposition is offered is critical. So to me, therefore, let me, in this category, and I'm going direct to your question, value is multi-layered, right? And therefore, when customer is looking at value, is looking at not just price value, he's looking at the quality value, he's looking at abundance value. So it's all up to us on making sure that what we are going to hinge on, what is it that we are offering, and how do we make sure that we stay true to it. Let me talk in the context of Burger King launch, therefore. Burger King stands for authentic, quality food. Food which is abundant. When you have a Burger King burger, it's large, the Whopper is, it's a meal by itself. This is, to me, a completely different proposition in the country. When we had this launch idea going on, we were thinking, and we were actually when we did the study, we realized that consumers tend to look at burgers as snacks. And we said, how do we redefine that? When, at the time of launch, we went to our right customer set, we mined the data on Facebook, Twitter, all social media, looked at people who were talking about us. We went and talked to them about Burger King coming in. And guess what? Even before we had launched, the amount of noise, amount of chatter, number of things that people were talking about and connecting with Burger King already was massive, was huge compared to everybody else. When we were thinking of the launch strategy, we decided to go with the key proposition that we got. We decided to pre-book a food item, which is a Whopper, on eBay. Now, we could have decided on anything else, but that's the proposition. And you can imagine that was booked in a couple of hours, the sale that we wanted to do on eBay for a burger. And on the very first day, there were more than 6,000 people queuing in the first store, and they were all talking about a Whopper. It's 5 months now. We continue to get a phenomenal feedback on the value that we are offering to the customer. And the customer sees it in terms of quality. Customer sees it in terms of the abundant food, the size of a burger, the satisfaction that he gets when he eats a good quality meal, and he finds it extremely affordable then. So that's been the journey. I think, so that really creates the whole big space for us. We continue to outperform our own expectations by more than 40-50%, and customers continue to like and love us from a launch perspective. Essentially, coming to the key question of how do we build a connect, our thinking has been that a customer always remembers. When you're talking to customer, he may forget what you did for him and how you did for him. But the customer will always remember what he felt when you did what you did to him. People remember those feelings, and that's about human connect. So giving an example about the connect of Whopper. When we're launching in High Street Phoenix in Mumbai, we said, how do I connect with a big, tasty burger? And then we had a activity where we had everyone coming in and we said, can you try doing a face yoga? Get your mouth ready to eat a very big burger. People were talking about it everywhere. It was a rage. And people could instantly connect with what Burger King is offering. So that was a big boost for us. So that's one. Second is making sure that we continue to engage with them. Our big focus, and he talked about it from an information technology perspective, we continue to focus big time on digital. That's the future. Our focus continues to be in talking to customers both ways at all points of time. We're making big investments on listening, social listening, and we continue to make sure that we respond to each and every customer on a every minute basis. That's what our focus is on making sure that we connect with the customers, connect with the brand, and continue to communicate what Burger King stands for.
Great. I think you, while we were talking earlier, you said a very interesting thing, which is a view which I agree with completely because I've held the same view for a long time, that being first in the market is not necessarily a source of advantage. You can come in later and maybe do a better job of it, or pick places for yourself to compete in. So would you care to share some experience from that?
So very clearly, I look at this as a big advantage because we have all the learnings to draw from. We have decades of history in this category, and we know what's worked, what's not worked, and we continue to not only innovate, develop our strategies based on the learning, and of course, as we grow along, we'll have our own. But when I was talking about burgers as snacks, for instance, we realized that there is a massive gap. When you come out to eat, and you need to have a food at a QSR, and then after that you want to go to some other place and have another meal. Well, I want you to come to my place, my restaurant. I want you to stay there, enjoy the meal, and go back home satisfied. So it's a completely different learning and space. We realize that, for instance, there are certain food preferences that India has. What works in India, when we did the entire journey, exploring what kind of food people eat in this country, what kind of food works in the QSR space, we realized that very easily for us, certain pointers came up, and that's been defining our strategy. For instance, we love what is spicy, we love what is juicy, we love what is crunchy. Now, if I know the food that Indians love is what is crunchy, what is juicy, what is spicy, and that is what is working in the category for me, it's the strategy is so much well defined. So for us, this is all the past history and which we have really mined. Even before we launched, we really did a massive recce of the country, roaming around, eating at every outlet, then doing a study on the products, and then doing a consumer research and rolling out all products through. Throughout, one big anchor or input has been the experience of the industry and what people have also already done, and that's really helped us and that's in the results that we now seeing in the performance of the stores that we started.